As I stepped through the heavy oak doors of the old forgotten library, an eerie silence engulfed me. The moon's feeble light barely penetrated the high, dusty windows, casting long shadows that danced ominously along the towering bookshelves. I had always been drawn to the macabre, the unknown, and tonight, my thirst for the mysterious had led me here, to this decaying relic of knowledge. My footsteps echoed through the cavernous room, the sound distorted by the oppressive stillness that hung in the air. The shelves loomed like ancient sentinels guarding the secrets of centuries past. I couldn't resist the pull of the forbidden, the temptation to uncover something that should remain hidden. The first book I pulled from the shelf was bound in worn leather, its pages brittle with age. Its title, The Lost Rituals of the Occult, sent a shiver down my spine, but my curiosity got the better of me. I opened it, and the room seemed to shudder with a whispered gasp. The very air grew heavy with anticipation. As I delved deeper into the book, my heart raced. I couldn't believe what I was reading. Incantations, summoning rituals, and dark pacts that promised untold power. My hands trembled as I turned the pages, unable to tear my eyes away from the forbidden knowledge within. A sudden cold breeze brushed against my neck, raising the hairs on my arms. I turned around, half expecting to find another visitor in this forsaken place, but there was no one. Only the dim, spectral light filtering through the windows greeted me. Determined to unravel the secrets hidden in these texts, I continued my exploration. Hours passed, and the clock on the far wall seemed to have frozen in time. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional creak of ancient floorboards and my own nervous breath. It was when I stumbled upon an obscure manuscript covered in symbols I couldn't decipher that I felt an inexplicable presence. The temperature plummeted, and the shadows deepened, as if the very walls of the library were closing in on me. I knew I should leave, but the compulsion to know more was overwhelming. As I reached for the mysterious tome, a voice, barely louder than a whisper, called my name. Thomas. My heart leaped into my throat, and I spun around to face the source of the voice. There, in the darkest corner of the library, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was a woman, her features obscured by the dim light. Her voice was hauntingly familiar, yet I couldn't place it. "Who are you?" I stammered, my voice barely audible. She stepped closer, and with each step, the room seemed to grow colder, the air thicker. "I am a guardian of the library," she replied, her voice now melodic and mesmerizing. "And you, Thomas, have trespassed into the realm of the forbidden." The woman's presence was both alluring and terrifying, and I was paralyzed by a mixture of fear and fascination. She extended a hand, and I hesitantly placed the manuscript into her delicate fingers. Her eyes, pools of darkness, bore into mine. "You have uncovered knowledge that should remain buried," she whispered. "You must leave, or the consequences will be dire." I nodded, my voice stolen by the unnatural power she exuded. As I turned to leave, I felt a hand on my shoulder, cold as death. The woman's grip tightened, and her voice grew more sinister. "But remember, Thomas, some knowledge can never be unlearned. It will haunt you until the end of your days." With those words, she released me, and I stumbled out of the library, my heart pounding. The oak doors closed behind me with a heavy thud, sealing away the horrors I had uncovered. In the years that followed, I tried to forget that night in the library, but the forbidden knowledge I had glimpsed haunted my dreams. I was forever changed, forever marked by that terrifying night, and I knew that the Guardian's words were true. Some knowledge can never be unlearned, and it will haunt me until the end of my days. The library was an old, imposing building, nestled at the edge of a quiet, forgotten town. Its ornate architecture and dimly lit corridors gave it an eerie charm that sent shivers down my spine as I dared to enter after dark. It was rumored to be haunted, but I dismissed such tales as mere superstition. One chilly autumn evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, I decided to visit the library. I was an avid reader, and the library was my sanctuary. I had heard the whispers of ghosts and strange occurrences, but paid them no heed. As I entered the library, the wooden door creaked ominously behind me, closing with an eerie finality. The air was cool and musty, and the only sound was the soft shuffling of my footsteps on the creaky floor. The library's silence was oppressive, and the dim lighting cast long, eerie shadows on the towering bookshelves. I wandered through the aisles, my fingers trailing over the spines of the books as I searched for my next literary adventure. The books seemed to whisper to me, their pages holding the secrets of countless worlds and characters. I finally settled on an old tome, its cover worn and faded, with the title, The Haunting of Hollowbrook Manor. I settled into an overstuffed armchair, drawn into the story of a haunted mansion on a moonless night. As I read, I became acutely aware of the library's eerie atmosphere. The room seemed to grow colder, and the shadows in the corners of my vision seemed to move as if watching my every move. Ignoring my growing unease, I continued to read. Suddenly, a soft, plaintive wail echoed through the library, causing me to jump in my seat. My heart pounded in my chest as I scanned the empty room, searching for the source of the sound. There was nothing to be seen, and the library remained as still as a tomb. Brushing it off as my imagination, I turned my attention back to the book, but the feeling of being watched persisted, and I could no longer concentrate on the story. I closed the book with a sigh and decided to leave, convinced that the library's eerie ambiance was playing tricks on me. As I stood up and made my way toward the exit, the room suddenly plunged into darkness. Panic seized me, and I fumbled for my phone, using its feeble flashlight to pierce the blackness. But the beam of light revealed something that sent a chill down my spine. Standing in the center of the room were shadowy figures, their forms indistinct and ghostly. They seemed to be whispering in a language I couldn't comprehend, their voices a haunting chorus that reverberated through the library. Frozen with fear, I watched as the figures advanced toward me. With trembling hands, I fumbled for the door, desperate to escape. But no matter how hard I pushed or pulled, the door remained firmly shut. The figures drew closer, their presence suffocating me, and the temperature dropped to bone-chilling levels. In my terror, I called out for help, my voice echoing through the library's haunted halls. But there was no response, only the relentless advance of the ghostly figures. I could feel their icy fingers brush against my skin as they closed in. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, a flicker of candlelight appeared in the distance. The figures recoiled, fading into the shadows. I followed the light, stumbling through the darkened library until I reached an old, dusty chamber. Inside, an ancient candlestick held a single flickering candle. It was tended by a spectral figure, an elderly librarian who had been trapped in the library for eternity. With a mournful gaze, he beckoned me closer and whispered a chilling warning, "Beware the books, for they hold the souls of those who never left this place." Terrified and shaken, I managed to flee the library, leaving behind the haunted tome and its chilling stories. I would never return to that accursed place, haunted by the memory of the library's ghostly inhabitants and the sinister secrets hidden within its books. And so, the library at the edge of the forgotten town remained a place of mystery and dread, its chilling reputation forever etched in my memory as I recounted the harrowing night I spent within its haunted halls. The library loomed at the end of a long, deserted street, its grand facade casting an eerie shadow against the darkening evening sky. It was a place that time seemed to have forgotten, a relic from a distant past, rumored to house secrets darker than the night itself. Despite the warnings and whispers, my insatiable curiosity led me to its foreboding doors. On a bone-chilling winter night, I approached the library with trepidation. The air was frigid, carrying the scent of impending snow, and an unsettling quiet enveloped the surroundings. The library's Gothic architecture, with its twisted iron gates and menacing gargoyles, sent shivers down my spine. With a deep breath, I pushed open the heavy creaking door, feeling as though I was entering a realm beyond the ordinary. The interior was dimly lit by flickering candles, their feeble flames casting eerie, dancing shadows across the rows of ancient books that lined the shelves. The silence inside was stifling, a profound stillness that seemed to seep into my very soul. Not a single person stirred, and the only sound was the soft rustling of my footsteps on the creaky wooden floor. I ventured further into the labyrinth of books, drawn to an old and tattered volume bound in cracked leather. Its barely visible title read, The Forbidden Grimoire of Eldritch Secrets. As my fingers brushed the book's decaying cover, a chill coursed through my veins. Despite the ominous feeling, I couldn't resist the urge to open it. The pages crinkled as I turned them, revealing cryptic incantations and arcane symbols. The words seemed to leap off the pages, weaving tales of forbidden knowledge and ancient rituals. Unbeknownst to me, the library itself had awakened, and the candles flickered with malevolence. A low, ominous hum permeated the air, and the temperature plummeted as though winter had seeped indoors. I sensed a presence behind me, and when I turned, terror clawed at my throat. A figure, cloaked in tattered black robes, stood there, its face obscured by an impenetrable darkness. Its skeletal hand reached for the grimoire, and a voice like gravelly whispers slithered into my ear, "You should not have come." Before I could react, the figure seized the book, and the candles extinguished in unison, plunging the library into absolute darkness. Panic gripped me as I stumbled blindly through the inky void, my hands outstretched, searching for an escape. But the library had transformed into a labyrinth of shifting corridors, each one leading me deeper into its sinister heart. Whispers echoed in the shadows, taunting me with promises of unimaginable horrors. I could feel unseen entities closing in, their frigid breath brushing against my skin. Suddenly, a ghastly light pierced the darkness, revealing a decrepit reading room. The grimoire rested on a dusty pedestal, and the cloaked figure beckoned me closer. With trepidation, I approached, the room pulsating with otherworldly energy. The figure extended a bony hand, urging me to read from the grimoire. Its voice, now clearer, resonated with an insatiable hunger for the forbidden knowledge within. I hesitated, torn between my dread of the unknown and the irresistible curiosity that had drawn me here. In a moment of weakness, I began to recite the incantation from the grimoire, the words tumbling from my trembling lips. The room trembled, and the library itself seemed to come alive, its shelves contorting and writhing as if possessed by malevolent spirits. As the final word left my mouth, a torrent of darkness erupted from the grimoire, consuming the cloaked figure with a blood-curdling scream. The room convulsed, and the walls groaned as if in agony. I stumbled backward, my mind reeling from the sheer malevolence that had been unleashed. The library's unnatural rage knew no bounds, and I realized that I had unwittingly become a pawn in its insidious game. Desperation gripped me as I desperately sought an escape route. The library's corridors had become a nightmarish maze, constantly shifting and distorting my sense of reality. The whispers grew louder, taunting and mocking me as I futilely tried to flee. Hours, or perhaps an eternity, passed as I battled the relentless horrors that assailed me. My sanity teetered on the edge as I fought against the malevolence that surrounded me. I had become a prisoner of the very knowledge I had sought, ensnared by the library's malevolent spirit. In the end, I was left to wander the haunted halls for all time, a living testament to the consequences of delving too deeply into the forbidden. The library's dark secrets remained locked within its cursed confines, a reminder of the price one pays for seeking knowledge in the darkest of places. And so, the library at the end of the desolate street continued to stand as a sinister sentinel, luring unsuspecting souls into its web of darkness, where the line between reality and nightmare blurred, and where the pursuit of knowledge could lead to a fate worse than death.